This is Cruise Radio.
I cruise a lot, and I always sail with travel insurance. You should too. Get a free quote today at tripinsurance.com.
Here we go.
Broadcasting from the tripinsurance.com studios in Jacksonville, Florida. This is Cruise Radio.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Doug Parker. Thank you so much for checking out this episode of Cruise Radio. Very happy to have you here, my friend. A review of Carnival Vista this week on a Caribbean cruise. But first, staff writer Richard Sims on deck with cruise news. Hey, Richard.
Hey, Doug, we have so much to cover today.
Yeah, kicking things off, too, with a bit of breaking news regarding a supposed security breach at Carnival Corporation. What do we have here?
Well, okay, it was a supposed security leak. Now we know it's official. We literally got news of this about 5 minutes ago, so we're sort of trying to piece this together. Carnival is apparently sending out emails to people who were impacted by this, informing them that they were indeed the victim of a security breach. They basically say that on April 14th, the IT team identified unauthorized activity involving an employee's account. You may remember we talked about this a couple weeks ago, and Carnival kind of said, well, you know, it's only going to impact people who have a Holland America Mariner account, and it's one bad actor. But it seems like that one bad actor has had a much bigger impact than originally believed. The letter that they're sending goes on to say, an unauthorized actor used social engineering to deceive an employee to gain access to a limited portion of the company's IT system. The company acted swiftly to block the unauthorized activity and immediately began working with third-party security experts to further strengthen our security and to conduct a thorough investigation. But then it goes on to say that by April 22nd, they determined that the bad actor had illegally copied personal information. They are now reaching out to people. It's a little unclear if they are sending this, slowly but surely to everyone. Some people have received it, some people have not, or if they are only sending it to people they specifically know were targeted. The latter does seem to be the case because they literally say in the letter, and I'm quoting here, we have determined that your full name, address, email address, phone number, and passport number were obtained. What they are saying is that if you are one of the people who has been impacted here, they're going to offer a complimentary 24-month membership to a credit monitoring system. If you want to be involved in this and you've received this letter, you have to take action by August 31st. So, check your emails, check your spam emails, look for something, search your email systems basically for something that references a Carnival Corporation a security breach, because this could be a pretty big impact on you. Now, I have been in security breaches in the past. I have received similar letters, not from Carnival, from other companies. And I have also been offered this sort of, okay, for 12 months, 24 months, whatever, we're going to monitor your security. And if you receive this, please do take advantage of that. I had two separate cases where the monitoring system found that my information was being used and people had taken out credit cards. And because I was part of this program, as a result of a security breach, I was not held responsible for any of it. So you really want to keep an eye out for this. Like I said, this is breaking. We're only now figuring out some of the details. It went out on the first, or at least the ones we're seeing, went out on May 27th, which is today as we record this. So please keep your eyes open for this.
It is interesting too. And remember when we first heard about this story, I got about a dozen people forward me information from they got alerts from Equifax, Credit Karma, Cloaked, I believe was one of them. So I compiled all these and asked Carnival about it. And they were like, yeah, don't believe everything you read online. But then we hear about it a month later, it really did happen.
I think it's important to note that in the letter that they sent, they actually say, and this could be nothing, but to me, it jumped out. It says, the company has been conducting a thorough and time-consuming analysis of the impacted files. And I mean, I am the resident skeptic, but when I hear the words time-consuming analysis, that to me says they were waiting as long as they possibly could to let this out there, because it's not going to go over well. Mm-hmm. And we know that the initial breach took place on or around April 14th. So now here we are, a month and a half later. So that to me is why they are saying it was a thorough and time-consuming analysis. Only time will tell how, far-reaching this really is. But like I said, please, please, please keep your eyes open for an email from Carnival Corporation.
And next up is a bit of news that has a whole lot of people unhappy.
It does. And I think the real story here is the potential future implications as to the story itself. People started seeing that a cruise line, and as often happens, when the story was being reported by various sources, they did not say what cruise line, it just said cruise line. And the story was that they were basically charging $70 to people who took food from the buffet back to their staterooms. They were being assessed a $70 charge, a fine, if you will. It turns out this was a very limited number of ships, and it was within the Costa Cruises line. So this was not like one of the mainstream American lines. This was Costa Cruises. I don't see this lasting, and I certainly don't see it spreading. I can't remember if it was Carnival or Norwegian, but one of them a couple years ago sort of started saying, we do not allow you to take, food from the restaurant back to your room. It's meant to be eaten there. We don't allow you to take food from the buffet back to your room. It's meant to be eaten there. And that got shut down really quickly because people really were unhappy. People it turns out, taking food and eating it maybe on their balcony or while they're watching a movie or whatever. So as of right now, like I said, this is on a very limited number of Costa Cruises. Not even across Costa Cruises, but certain specific sailings. So we'll have to keep an eye on this, but I don't see this becoming much of a big story because people won't really settle for it.
And next, going to set the record straight regarding a notice that Carnival Cruise Line has supposedly been putting in people's staterooms.
Yeah. So kudos us for tracking this down, I gotta say. So according to several posts around the internet, Carnival has been leaving a note in the room of passengers who have been cut off from alcohol. It basically says, and I'm paraphrasing here big time, but it basically says, drinking alcoholic beverages is a privilege, and because of your behavior, you no longer may enjoy that privilege, so you are cut off. It says that the decision is final and cannot be appealed, and that it is in effect from the time you receive the notice until the end of the cruise. Well, as soon as I saw this, something felt off. For one thing, all of the pictures of it had the same background behind the supposed, it's sort of like a card that they would leave in your room. And they all had sort of the same brown table behind them. And I thought that was a little odd. The wording was weird. And it had what I can only describe as the feeling of AI. Well, it turns out that the notice is not actually real. We reached out to Carnival Cruise Line to find out if this was genuine, and we're told in no uncertain terms that it was not. In fact, they had a 3-word response, and it sums it up perfectly. They said, it's not real. So again, this is a case of the internet be interneting by spreading misinformation far and wide. I assume at some point John Heald will probably address this. He usually does address, things like this that are scams, but I haven't seen him talk about it yet. But like I said, we went straight to the source, and it is not genuine.
All right. And escaping the Carnival news, a big update with NCL's private island, Great Stirrup Cay.
Yeah, this is kind of exciting for those of you who have voyages coming up that are going to take you to Great Stirrup Cay. They have announced that as of now, you can purchase tickets if you're going to be arriving on Great Stirrup after September 4th. So tickets go on sale today for the water park, the Great Tides Water Park. They go on sale today for anyone who is going to arrive after September 4th. So yes, as we suspected, just like at Perfect Day, this is going to be an experience that you pay extra for. How much? Well, that we don't know, because they are basically doing the same thing as Perfect Day by saying that it's a fluctuating price depending on the time of year, what ship is there, how many ships are there, a bunch of little factors like that. But let's just look at Perfect Day as an example. And rates over there vacillate wildly. It can be anywhere from $40 to $200 for admission to the water park. You can also, if you want to make it a little extra when you're at Great Stirrup Cay, you can also now book cabanas that are over there. Now, we already have cabanas that are available over around the lagoon, which is a very nice area. That time I was there, and I really enjoyed the lagoon, which has swim up bars at both ends, lots of free seating, but they also have cabanas that you can rent. They're going to have the same basic setup over at the water park. So this is available now. We will actually try and do some test bookings, and we will update you soon on exactly what the prices are that they go for. We'll try some for right when it opens. We'll try some for a few weeks later, and we'll get back to you guys with an update on what the pricing structure looks like.
Yeah, it will be interesting for comparison purposes because, over the years, interviewing people who have taken their families over to Perfect Day at Coco Cay, and some families have paid $200 a ticket, while some got a great Black Friday sale at like $40 or $50 a ticket. So it'll be curious to see what the competition is because the islands are like, a half a mile apart, if that?
Yeah, and it's funny because it used to be that we were on Great Stirrup before they developed but before they developed their island fully. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you would look across the way and you'd see like the big water slides and everything over at Perfect Day and be like, oh, I kind of wish I was over there. The problem with these are if you are a parent and you're taking your child to either of these places, whether it's Great Stirrup or Perfect Day, you have to basically be in a position of either buying the water park ticket or having to explain to your child why they can't go and play on the water park. It's almost cruel. It's like they get to see this big structure, but they can't actually go on it. I will say, though, one thing, I have never been to Perfect Day. I've only been to Great Stirrup. But one thing I loved about the new Great Stirrup is they have an amazing, totally free kids water park. I mean, most places have like a splash pad, even resorts at Disney World have them, but this is sort of more than that. It's got the huge dump bucket. It's got lots of fountains. I was really impressed with the free offering, but still your kid's going to look off in the distance and see the water slides and they're going to want to go.
And speaking of Royal Caribbean over at Perfect Day, one of their ships has a technical issue.
Yeah, we hear more and more about this. In this case, it's Allure of the Seas, and they had to cancel a scheduled stop in Jamaica because they were having propulsion issues. And this is on the sailing that is underway right now as we record this. The cruise line said that the propulsion system was experiencing a technical problem, forcing the vessel to operate at reduced speed. We've seen this on a lot of ships and not just Royal Caribbean. It feels as if every couple of weeks another ship is having some kind of propulsion issue that causes them to alter their itinerary. Because basically what happens is, they're operating on a pretty tight schedule. That's why you always hear about people being left behind if they weren't back at the ship on time. And so what ends up happening is if they cannot cruise at, an optimum speed, they have to adjust the itinerary. And that usually means you're going to end up skipping a port. In this case, guests ended up spending an additional day in Nassau instead of visiting Jamaica. Royal Caribbean, of course, said that if they had any, prepaid shore excursions in Falmouth, they'd automatically be refunded. And guests are also getting an onboard credit that can range between $100 and $200, depending on your stateroom category. As far as we know, the ship is still expected to return to Fort Lauderdale on schedule, and we'll have to see if they're able to fix this right away or if it's something that impacts future cruising.
And wrapping the news up with an update that's going to be a bit of a bummer if you're heading to Juneau, Alaska over the summer.
When I was there in May of last year, the excursion I had planned got canceled because of weather. And I looked and I was like, oh, we should do the tram. And I opted not to do the Gold Belt tram, which is a very popular attraction in Juneau. It's right there. You get off the ship and it's right there in the center of town. And I really wish I had done it, but we opted not to because we were cheaping out and we decided to do something else instead. Well, now the tram, which operates from the heart of Juneau, like I said, they had an accident a couple weeks ago where the tram was coming into the lower station and it didn't stop properly. The only people on it were employees of the tram, but two of them were injured, had to go to the hospital. So as a result, the tram was shut down, obviously, so they could do an investigation and make any necessary repairs. And It seemed at first as if this was only going to impact service for maybe a week or two, but as of now, the tram is shut down indefinitely. If you go to the website, they have a nice little post there saying that the assessments are continuing and they hope to have updates on when it will open soon, but doesn't look like if you're going in the next little bit, doesn't look like you're going to be riding the tram.
And we'll close out today's segment with a listener email. So if you have a question, drop us a line, comments@cruiseradio.net. This week's question comes from Daryl, and it's a pretty common one. You might actually know better about this one because you like to sail out of New York. If our ship arrives back in Manhattan at 7 a.m., what time should I tell someone to pick me up at the pier?
We do get this question a lot, and not just about ships arriving in Manhattan, but pretty much any port. It's the popular question. My ship gets back at this time. What time should I arrange to be picked up? And the answer, well, it varies based on a lot of factors, not the least of which is how long it takes the ship to clear customs and do the various things that need to be done before they're allowed to let you disembark. Among the things you have to consider, are you doing self-disembarkation? Meaning you are taking all of your own luggage and walking off the ship. If so, that gives you at least a little more control over timing, as people doing self-debarkation are almost always the first ones allowed off the ship. Why? Well, because they don't have to wait for their luggage to be taken off the ship and, arranged in the hall where you pick up your luggage. The next factor, if you're not doing self-debarkation, is what time you'll be able to get off is based on the color or number luggage tag you were able to snag. Usually the night before, they either leave luggage tags in your room or they place them like down at guest services, and there can sometimes be a mad scramble to go and get, the color that you want because each color corresponds to a specific time. That's also leads to the next kind of factor, which is how smooth is disembarkation on the ship in question. I have been on ships where disembarkation was so smooth, everybody just kind of like went with the flow and got off when they were supposed to. But I've also been on several, and most of them were Norwegian, to be honest, where disembarkation was just a nightmare. It was just nobody was following the rules, and they were announcing colors before they had, completely gotten everybody who had the previous color tag off. It was just a disaster. But taking all of that into account, I'd probably say that if your ship arrives around 7 a.m., and Doug, correct me if you think I'm wrong here, but I think you can probably be off and meeting your driver somewhere between 8 and 8:30. Again, varies by a lot of factors, but that seems about right.
Yeah,
right?
I was going to say the handful of times I've actually sailed into Manhattan, it's always been no later than 9.
100%. Now, that's not to say you have to be off that early. You could decide that you want to enjoy breakfast, or you want to, you don't want to deal with the madness. You want to let people get off first and then make a nice, smooth disembarkation. In which case, I would say if your ship arrived at 7, then you would say maybe 10 o'clock, because they're not going to let you stay on much past that. And by then, the rush should be over.
And there you have it, Darren. Staff writer Richard Sims, as always, thank you, my friend.
Glad to be here, as always.
You're listening to Cruise Radio, America's trusted voice of the cruise industry.
A big question we get at Cruise Radio is, how do I know if I need trip insurance? Simple answer. If you're getting on a plane, taking a road trip, or getting on a cruise ship, you need to have travel insurance. Hey, it's Doug Parker from my friends at tripinsurance.com. Not only does tripinsurance.com protect your vacation investment, but it also gives you peace of mind in case anything were to go wrong on your trip. How do they do it? They offer 3 different types of trip insurance policies. Good, better, and best. One policy for every vacation budget. But it doesn't just stop there. They're up to 40% lower when you shop around on other comparison sites. Plus, tripinsurance.com offers 24-hour customer support before, during, and after your trip, online claims assistance, and travel alerts to let you know what's going on at your destination. But find out for yourself. Check out tripinsurance.com.
Have a tip or a lead on a news story? Let us know. Email tips@cruiseradio.net.
Andrew just returned from a 6-night cruise on Carnival Vista out of Port Canaveral, Florida, Central Florida. It was his second solo cruise, and he joins us on the line to talk all about it. How you doing, Andrew?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Yeah, good. Good to talk to you, and excited to hear about this itinerary, too. Celebration Key, Amber Cove, and Grand Turk here. So before we get to the ship or any of these awesome ports of call, we're going to take a step back. You're in Canton, Ohio. Give me some pre-cruise thoughts. What made you want to jump down here to Florida and take this six-nighter on Vista?
Well, last year I celebrated my 40th birthday, and I wanted to do something to celebrate that. And I also had, I'm going to humble brag here for a second.
Okay.
I had qualified for and registered for the Boston Marathon in April. And I knew I wanted to do something to celebrate after that for myself too, because that was kind of a decades-long goal. So I talked to my wife, told her I wanted to solo cruise again, and found this one for the value. It was kind of a no-brainer for me.
That is awesome, and congrats on even qualifying for that. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so cool. So you make your way down to Central Florida. Any pre-cruise time before the cruise?
I flew in the morning before. From Canton to MCO, we actually have Breeze Airways that flies direct, which is awesome to have a destination like that from our tiny Akron-Canton airport. So I flew in early there, took the Cocoa Beach Express shuttle, which I highly recommend, by the way. It was $50 round trip from MCO to Cocoa Beach. And I stayed at the Cocoa Beach Suites, which was just a cheap little hotel there in town and about 2 blocks from the beach. So, yeah, I got a full beach day in before I even got on the ship. And that, I was telling you beforehand how awful winter was up here. I was going to sneak in any minute of sunshine and sand and salt water that I could.
I love Breeze, too. I fly Breeze a lot over to Vegas and Los Angeles from here. And it's funny because they have like their entry-level pricing for, let's just say, $69. And it's like, but if you want to upgrade to the mid-tier, it's $169. And for the better tier, it's $469. So there's like big price jumps there with Breeze, but it is a good airline. I do enjoy my Breeze points there. So you make your way to Carnival Vista to board. How long how was embarkation? How long did it take you from the curb to the ship?
Well, I inadvertently showed up early because my lift took about 1 minute to get to my hotel after I called for it because he was right next door. So I got there. My check-in time was 11:30. I arrived at like 10:50. So I just asked, I was like, hey, do you need me to hang out for a little bit or can I go ahead and go in? And the guy at the early arrival line was super cool, let me through. And I was on the ship by 11:20. Wow. So it didn't take long. I used to always be one of those people who would wait up till midnight, the night of check-in to try to get the earliest arrival time. I didn't do that this time. And I think this was better because I didn't get through too early. I'd have to sit and wait for them to call my boarding zone or anything like that. I just walked right on through. It was an easy half hour.
So you make your way on board Carnival Vista, a ship that was, it debuted about 10 years ago at this point. What were your first impressions as you walked on board?
They send you into the atrium there. It's awesome. That LED funnel is great. This was my second Vista class ship I've been on. And while I love the ships, the one thing I'll say is they're kind of boring because they're kind of all the same. There's not really a whole lot in the aesthetic of the ship, I feel like, that distinguishes them. So that's not a complaint necessarily, but just kind of something I noticed. I was like, this feels just like the Horizon when I got on it. There wasn't any differentiating factors there, but it's very clean. And I was ready to have some fun as soon as I walked on board.
I will say I do kind of miss those older Carnival atriums that had the elevators and, that kind of aesthetic going up and down. And there's always seemed like something was going on there. And whereas these newer ship atriums kind of just sound very quiet in there.
Yeah. And those went up 6 or 8 decks too. This one only goes up 3. Yeah. And while it's bright, it's just white. They're just the same. You have the kind of kitschiness and the old Vegas vibes on the older Carnival ships, but they all feel unique too.
Yeah, for sure.
And I love that. I love that feeling of uniqueness ship to ship, and you kind of miss that on the Vista class, but they're still great.
Oh yeah, I agree. So your stateroom, what kind of cabin did you have for the 6 nights, and what did you think of it?
I booked. It's in the interior category, but it's on the first deck, I had one of the upper lower porthole rooms, which I booked because as a solo cruiser, you get a twin bed and you get a couch, which I thought was more ideal for me as opposed to having an interior that was going to just be crammed with a king-sized bed. And I like the idea of having the natural light. It being all the way forward and on deck one, though, I was not prepared for the noise overnight. I thought waves crashing on the ship would make more of a whooshing sound. Oh man, I was wrong. I was very wrong. The one night I thought like a lifeboat had broken loose and was just slamming against the side of the ship because that's what it sounded like. But no, that's just the waves. When the wind picks up and they're a little rougher. So I liked the room overall. I don't know that I'd book it again just based off of that. But I wouldn't complain if I got it, especially if I was cruising solo. It wouldn't turn me off of a cruise, but I don't think I would book it again intentionally.
That's one of the things I learned when I started cruising solo was I would always book those forward rooms with the upper and lower just because I was solo and it was cheaper. You would think the waves would just go swish or whatever, but it was like smack.
One night, I think I only got like 3 hours of sleep because, I mean, it was all night. I was like, oh no, this is not what I thought. I didn't mean to sign up for this. I was like, it was like the second night. I was like, this is going to be a long week if I'm only able to sleep when we're not moving. But it quieted down. So I got some sleep the rest of the week. But yeah, I don't know. I'd stay away from that. But the room is great apart from that for a solo cruiser. Like they're fantastic. You have a place to like sit and like read or, have a drink before bed or whatever. But yeah, I think in the future, it will not be my first choice. That's for sure.
Let's talk about the food on this 6-night cruise. We'll go up to the buffet, the Lido Marketplace. How was the food up there, and did it ever feel too crowded?
I'm not a big buffet person. I will do the buffet in the morning for breakfast. The food was decent, but I usually just do like oatmeal and fruit, something like that. Try to keep at least one healthy meal. But crowd-wise, everything seemed to move okay. This was the second week of May, which I said last year when I reviewed the Carnival Jubilee with you, and I'll say it again, is the best time to cruise if you want to avoid kids. So I think that helps the congestion around the ship and then in the buffet as well. Like there was never a problem finding a seat because there just weren't kids on the ship. So yeah, but the marketplace is fine. There's a few other stalls up there too. That's where the deli is as well. So I did get an awesome their beef and cheese sandwich with the peppers and onions, which is fantastic.
How about Blue Iguana Cantina or Guy's Burger Joint?
I mean, what else can you say about those two places? I mean, I must have had 8 tacos. I didn't do Guy's as much, but I will slam tacos. But yeah, quality is what you expect when it comes to those. I will say the MDR, that my only complaint about this cruise is the MDR is just not good. Right. I did the express dining. I normally wouldn't do the MDR at all, solo cruising. Just not really my thing to go sit. And I don't have a problem sitting and eating by myself, but I would rather do so many other things around the ship. But I was like, I'll try this express dining, see what it's like, and report back, because you're supposed to be able to be in and out in like 45 minutes or something. It took them 15 minutes to serve me or to like even recognize me at the table, which was kind of annoying. And then the food quality was just bad. It was not good. I told my wife that it looked like, if you give like a 3-year-old a plate of food and they really want dessert and they try to tell you they ate enough, like I had like little bites out of everything when I sent it back. It was just so bad. So I think I'm done with the MDR on Carnival overall, because it's just not been the same since 2020.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you felt like it has, like the food quality has deteriorated with Carnival since the shutdown.
I definitely think it has. Our first cruise was in 2019 on the Carnival Conquest, and that was a high point for us, was the dining room. Like we couldn't wait every night to see what the menu was and to go, and we were like blown away each time. And every cruise since then, we have just noticed the MDR quality has gone down. And I think, we kind of let them get away with it as the consumer for a couple of years. We were glad to have cruising back. We knew that there were, the supply chain issues and all that stuff for a while. We're like, it's just not going to be as good. And we were all cruising with like massive credits from canceled cruises in 2020.
Yeah.
So I think everybody was like okay to make some concessions. And it feels like Carnival was kind of like, they're okay with this quality of food now. Let's just keep it there and let's focus on the specialty restaurants where we can get more money from them. So it's almost like force us out of the MDR, so we have to go somewhere else to give them more money than we already do.
Yeah, no, for sure. Did you hit up any specialty restaurants?
I did. I did the Bonsai Sushi twice. That's one of my favorite places, and it's quick too. You can get in and out. If you're solo cruising and you want something reasonably healthy as well. That's probably the healthiest meal you can get on a ship. Being able to get in and out of there in probably 25, 30 minutes is awesome. So I can just get back to exploring the ship and, going to the casino, meeting people at the Hold'em table and stuff like that. I think the quality is great for what sushi on a ship is. You wouldn't think it'd be that good. It's got to be sitting in a cooler somewhere for a long time, but no, I love bonsai sushi, and I think it's a reasonable cost too. It doesn't feel like you're paying for an entire meal. Like I feel like I pay for the entire meal in my cruise fare, and then I'm okay to pay an upcharge after that. And that's what this feels like. It doesn't feel like a whole new charge to me. Mm-hmm. So I recommend bonsai sushi for sure.
Did you do Fahrenheit 555 or Seafood Shack?
Seafood Shack, yes. That was the other one I spent money on. And I think it's underrated. Their lobster rolls are amazing.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I've had a bad one, and I don't think I hear enough people talk about it. Seafood Shack, I don't know if it's the location of it that kind of feels like you shouldn't pay money because you're going to go sit down right by a pool somewhere, because this one's back by the Tides pool, and then like on the Excel class it's on Lido deck. So I don't know if that like turns people off of it, but I feel like it's never busy. I don't hear people talk about it too much, but it must be making them money because it's on every ship. So
do you do the lobster roll with mayo or butter?
Wait, explain the difference to me. I just asked for a lobster roll.
Okay, so then
just give me
a scoop
whatever.
of it, which is just the mayonnaise then. But if you don't like mayo or allergic to it like I am, you could just say you want it in butter, and they get you in a nice toasted roll and just they toss it in butter, that's all, and some seasoning, and give it to you instead of the mayo. So you can get it two different ways.
Okay, so yeah, I do the mayo for
Gotcha.
Sure. I might have to remember that and try it. Now I like just a any standard lobster roll anywhere. And most of them are that mayonnaise base, but I think for $18 too, like that's a really reasonable price, because you can't get one on land for less than like $35.
Yeah, and if you try to get one in Vegas for less than 40, you're doing a good job.
Right.
Yeah. Actually, you were talking about your cabin location. I just remember this because I got a really good deal on a cabin back in 2018 on Carnival Horizon on the inaugural sailing. And that was another ship that has one of the IMAX theaters. Vista was the first to have an IMAX, then Horizon, I believe, was the second. So my stateroom for $259 rather, I was right next to the IMAX theater, and it was like the subwoofer or something was right next to my room, and it was the same week that Mission Impossible came out. And every single night my walls were shaking like crazy. I'm like, okay, never again am I booking next to an IMAX. No matter how cheap it is, you can't buy sleep.
You have to pay so much attention on these ships to where some of those amenities are, like above and below you when you're booking.
Yeah.
We're looking at a cruise next year, and I'm asking my wife, like, because the interior we want to get, because we're taking our son with us, where we're kind of limited on the decks. I'm like, do you want to be below a pool, or do you want to be below like the Celebration Central? Like, which one is going to be better for us? We'll figure out if we made the right decision or not in about 12 months.
There you go. Did you wind up doing any room service at all?
I did not. I'm fine to go walk out and bring stuff back. And with where I was, everything was going to take forever. I did try to order a pizza to the Heroes Tribute Bar one night, because you can do like the deliver to my location on the ship for like $5. I was at the Heroes Tribute Bar watching a Cavs game, and the app wouldn't work and let me order it. So I had to run up to I had to run up the stairs and grab a pizza and then run back down.
Burning those calories off in advance, I guess, right?
Right.
Yeah. So how was the entertainment on this 6-night cruise for you?
It was good. I did go check out one show. The talent was decent. The women were great. The men weren't the best singers, but the performances were fun. Comedy, as always, is a hit with Carnival. They didn't have a lot of variety on this cruise. I think they were changing out some of the comics mid cruise. So throughout the day, there was only one comic. I think the last 3 days they didn't have any that they changed out. And I might be used to that from Excel class ships having multiple comics, but I felt like there was only one the entire time.
Because Carnival's sorry to cut you off here. Because Carnival's comedy club is so popular with their comedians, did they ever do the comedy shows in the main theater, or was it always in the Punchliner?
I didn't notice it in the theater this time. I didn't look for it either. I know I've seen it. I saw it on the horizon in the main theater. A lot of times, like the last night, they'll do it, but I don't recall hearing about it or noticing it. But again, I didn't look for it.
Did you do the Sky Ride at all?
When I went up there to do it, the line was too long.
Yeah.
I've done it before. It's the views are amazing that you can get, but man, it's a workout.
It is. Yeah, especially if it's windy.
It's not easy. I wasn't too upset that the line was long. I was like, I've seen it.
Right.
But one of those things, like if you want to do it, try to do it on a sea day, but you have to do it early because it closes a lot. How about a bolt?
Entertainment around the ship, anything catch your ear? Or you mentioned that you went over to the Heroes Tribute Bar to watch a game there. Any other venues you hung out in?
I did the White Hot Party. We did that in the atrium, and that was a great time. I actually did that with some friends that I ended up making at the Heroes Tribute Bar watching a Cavs game. One thing I'll say about Carnival that I wish would happen is like for sports. Now that like there's all this streaming stuff, you have like NBA playoff games on Prime and Peacock and ESPN and TNT, they're all over the place. I wish they would figure out how to actually allow you to watch those games like in the tribute. Like one night we were stuck watching like ESPNU documentary when there was playoff basketball on because it was on Amazon Prime. Like everybody wants to watch playoff basketball. That's why we're at a sports bar, to watch playoff basketball, and it wasn't even available to us. So I think from that standpoint, I'd like to see them figure something out. I don't even know if they know it's a problem.
Now, Carnival Vista does have a non-smoking casino, but as far as the smoking casino, how was the smoke situation in and around it?
I'm a former smoker. I'm sensitive to it, but it doesn't bother me per se. But this casino was definitely smoky. You could tell, too, on like port days when it was closed, that it's a smoking casino just walking through it. But they did a really good job keeping it from leaking out into the atrium because it's right there in the middle of the atrium, basically. And you couldn't smell it at all there. Now, heading towards the aft of the ship on deck 4, the whole rest of the ship smelled like smoke. So they could keep it out of the atrium, but it's almost like they had to make the concession to maybe blow it back the other way because you could smell it all the way to that back dining room.
Oh, wow.
Which wasn't, it was just a walkway that had like the Heroes Tribute Bar on there was the entrance for the Heroes Tribute Bar and the entrance for the Limelight Lounge. So you couldn't smell it in those places. You could only smell it in the walkway to them. But yeah, it was pretty bad going back. But for that, to not smell it in the atrium, I guess I'd take that. And it wasn't terrible. And again, I'm not super bothered by it. I'd rather play in the regular casino. There's more of a vibe to it. I went and checked out the non-smoking one, which I'm glad they offer because there are people who are, really can't be around it. So it's nice that they have a place they can be.
I noticed that even the energy, though, like in Vegas, too, like Park MGM is non-smoking. Walking in there is a little mortgage compared to across the street at MGM or next door at, New York. But I don't know. To each their own. Glad they have options for people. So you did the 3 ports on this one. So give us your first port of call, the highlight, and we'll go to the next one.
First port of call was Celebration Key. The highlight is the lagoon. I'm usually a big beach guy. I would rather go to the beach and hang out in the salt water. But this one, I knew the attraction is the lagoon. So I was like, I'm going to go hang out there. We were the only ship in port. And this is going to sound weird. I almost wish there was another ship in port because it is such a big space.
Mm-hmm.
It almost felt deserted.
Yeah.
Which, kind of takes away from like the party vibe that you kind of want. Like you wanted it. I didn't want to be like overrun with people, but it was just so empty. I feel like if there were another 1,000 people, it would have been a little more alive. But it's a beautiful place. I definitely want to go back and explore more of it because I just kind of posted up in Calypso, found a spot and just got sun. When I got hot, I walked into the lagoon. And when I walked out of the lagoon, I went and got a beer and then went and got more sun and just keep repeating that cycle.
When the place first launched or opened, I should say, last July, got a lot of pushback with the whole food situation. I'm curious of your thoughts on how that played out for you.
I would like to see them do more with the food. I don't know. I know they're not going to give you more free entrees. I would like to see maybe packages that they could do. I think that would make things feel like more of a value. The options that you have for free food, you either have to really walk to find them, or there's just not very many of them in like one space. Like you have the food trucks, which are okay, which is what I ended up doing because I was right there. But it was like chicken tenders, a burger, or fritters. Like that was kind of my options. I'm like,
right,
it's just not a whole lot. And you want to be there for the whole day, being out in the sun to only have one included entree is just not enough. So I know you can pay for extra, but I would love to see like a package where maybe you can get an additional entree and like 5 drinks for like $40 or something. And that's money they could get from you before you even board, which it seems to be their MO for a lot of things. So I would love to see something like that because I don't like spending money once I'm on the ship unless I've already spent it,
Is it, if you don't want the meals that are included, is it like 25% off like the barbecue venue or whatever?
I think it was 50.
Okay.
It was 50% off an entree, which isn't bad. But they were like 20 to $25. I think you could get higher too, but I don't think anything was really less than $20. So you're going to be out $10 if you went and sat.
I was over there doing a project and I wasn't part of the ship, and I bought a meal at the barbecue place, and like it was like $27. That was without any discount at all. So I guess it's not bad for $13 for.
And they do the VAT on everything too,
which is a
so
pain.
that adds to cost.
Yeah, the 10% on everything. So after Celebration Key, you did Amber Cove.
Amber Cove, yep. I've been there a million times. Still love it. But this was the first time I didn't like do an excursion or like book a cabana in the pool area. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of went and walked around the port. This is the beauty of cruising solo. You don't have to answer to anybody. I just kind of did what I wanted to do.
Right.
Walked around the port for a little bit. I went and sat on a bench for about 20 minutes and just watched people, which was an insanely fun time. To just watch people get in line for excursions and walk to the pool and stuff. And I just enjoyed that. I went up to the Hilltop Bar, grabbed a beer, just took in the sights because Amber Cove is a beautiful place to just be with like the mountains around you and all the jungle and just the green and everything it's just a good place to be. And then I went back to the ship and I hung out at the Tides pool and took in the sights and talked to people, and that was pretty much it. Take advantage of my Cheers package in a beautiful place like that. So,
and you mentioned that you swapped Half Moon before we started recording, because it was the Bahamas election day, so there was no alcohol served. So they wound up bringing you to Grand Turk and ditched Half Moon. So how was your day there?
It was great. I took some winnings from the slot machines the night before. I took some of those out, and I used that to pay for a chair, an umbrella, and a bucket of beer. And I sat there on the beach. And I think my favorite thing about Grand Turk when you're on that beach right there is how close the ship is to you. Mm-hmm. Like the views are just incredible. You have this perfectly crystal clear water. And because of that like underwater cliff, the ship is so freaking close to you. And it's just a really cool place to be. It's very peaceful, and we were the only ship there, so the beach wasn't overcrowded or anything like that. There wasn't any food near where I was, so I had to make the trek down to Jack's to get food.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, like, I had a great time just getting sun and listening to the waves crash.
My question is, what slot machines are paying on Carnival ships in May of 2026?
Oh, shoot. Well, I forget what it's called. It's one of the like Oriental ones.
Okay, there's like a million of those. Yeah.
You're right. And it does like the little firework things, and you get the mini games. And yeah, I had one night that was paid me out pretty well. I mean, I don't do like too high of stakes, but I wanted like $400.
Not bad.
And no, not bad at all. I mean, I lost it too.
Right,
but,
of course.
But I took 100 out and took it to Grand Turk and blew it there. So that was like free. I spent the day on Grand Turk on Carnival's dime. Yeah, so I'll take that.
There you go.
So I walked out even for the week. So
you can't beat that at all, for sure, especially in 2026. So that was your last port of call then, Grand Turk?
Yep.
So the debark there in Port Canaveral, how was that, and how long did it take? Was it mixed reviews at Port Canaveral, right? Sometimes you hear that it was completely chaotic across the different brands. Sometimes it was flawless. How was yours?
I have no complaints. I read a lot of the same stuff. It was my biggest issue was Lyft canceled a ride for me without telling me. That was the only problem I had. I walked off the ship about 8:30, 8:45, and yeah, just walked right off. I mean, it was a slow walk. I think it's comical how they always send you, like when they welcome you into the terminal, it's always like nice and pictures that we want to take and everything. When they are kicking you off the ship and you have to go through like this cinder block warehouse and all of that past it's all sad and depressing. But apart from that, I have no complaints. I mean, it's just walking slow down a ramp to walk off the ship. They did the facial recognition. Line moved quick. I have no complaints. So, but yeah, I've read varying things about. I hear people complain about Miami too. I've never had an issue there.
Yeah, so. Same. You mentioned that your Uber canceled on you. What kind of did you go? Were you going from the port to the airport?
No, so my flight didn't leave till 8 p.m. Mm-hmm. So I did a resort pass at the Hampton Inn Cocoa Beach. That way, because they had an outdoor shower available, because they didn't want to do a full like day use hotel.
Yeah.
Because I was going to be outside, so I just wanted to find a place where I could store my luggage, enjoy a few hours at Cocoa Beach, and then shower so I didn't offend everybody on the plane.
Was that like resortforaday.com or something like that?
I think it did Resort Pass.
Resort Pass, okay.
And it was like $25, $29 after fees. So I figured to store my luggage and have a shower. I thought that was reasonable.
Yeah.
And so I took a Lyft there. And yeah, they said they had to assign me a driver, and I'd have my driver details any second now. And that went on for about 15 minutes. And then I looked down and it was just gone. I was like, oh, that's cool.
So then you finally made it to the airport then. And you flew out that evening and then back home. So my question is, any first time tips? This was your second time on a Vista class ship. You mentioned you were on Horizon before, I believe. Any tips to offer anyone?
I think familiarize yourself with the layout. There's a few like kind of tricky areas with like the IMAX theater and like the kids club. Like there's some weird like ups and downs on stairs. So find the ways you want to actually get around the ship when you're walking, because sometimes you'll be walking through and you're like, oh crap, I have to go down because the IMAX theater's here. Then you have to go walk back to like the aft steps, and then you can go forward. Because I'm a big step user. I don't do a lot of elevator riding. I try to avoid that if I can. But yeah, that would be one of my tips. And then I think too, like if you're cruising solo, just talk to people. Everybody's going the same. You're all going the same place, and you all kind of have the same destination. So you're kind of all doing the same thing together. Everybody was like so friendly to me. And I was a little nervous. My first solo cruise, I just went to be by myself and not talk to anybody. But that was like a 4-day cruise. I was like 6 days. I'm gonna have to talk to people, or I'm gonna be bored out of my skull. And so I just made a bunch of friends, and everybody was super cool. So talk to people.
Well, looking back, what was the biggest highlight of your cruise?
I actually met, this was the second time this has happened to me, but I met a crew member, one of the aquatic attendants, the lifeguards. His name's Freddie, and he was a crew member on my Horizon cruise that I'd gone on previously. And I saw him when I was back in the tides pool. And I was like, no way, no way. And the people I was with, I was like, hold on, I got to go grab my phone. So I pulled up a selfie I took with this guy back a few years ago. And I was like, do you remember me? And I showed it to him, and he looked at me. He was like, you're the one who tried to take the pizza in the hot tub, aren't you? And I started dying. And we just both laughed and laughed and laughed because he was so fun to be around a few years ago. And to see him again and have him remember such a silly moment like me trying to take a pizza into the hot tub when I had way too many to drink one night. It was just really cool. And I think, the crew is amazing how they can remember faces and stuff like that. And now Freddie and I follow each other on Instagram, and it's just cool. The crew members are amazing, and you never know who you might meet on a ship.
Final thoughts of Carnival Vista?
It's a great ship. It's a great size, good amenities, but it's not too big.
We've been talking with Andrew about his 6-night cruise on Carnival Vista. Andrew, always good talking to you, my friend, and thank you so much for sharing a part of your vacation with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, Dougie, let's see what we got for you, buddy. Cruise Radio is produced at the tripinsurance.com studios in Jacksonville, Florida. Get cruise news, ship reviews, and money-saving tips every Thursday on Cruise Radio. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the show. If you want to help spread the word, give Cruise Radio a 5-star review. Find Cruise Radio where you listen to your favorite podcast or online at cruiseradio.net. I'm your announcer,